off season in the Southeastern Conference. One of the bigger coaching carousel off seasons potentially that we have seen in quite some time, especially if it's not just the known departures or known vacancies rather at this point, but who fills them, how many more there are, because it feels like maybe a couple of more are coming, who might leave on their own, which could also happen. And now you throw Sark's name into the ring as someone who, I think, and I love what Sark has done at Texas. I think he's doing I don't want to necessarily say a better job than I thought he would, but you and I, what we know of this sport, and those listening know of this sport. You look at Sark, and he maybe does really have a demeanor, not to say better suited for the NFL, because I don't know that to be the case, and maybe I would say it's not because he's mostly been in college, but that he has a demeanor that would be suited to the NFL, where he can really hone in on developing a quarterback and calling plays on an offense, running an organization. Sure, I mean he's done that, but it's just an interesting story that's beginning to further develop out there beyond what we talk about locally.
Your first thought is he just wants a little bit of love, right? I want to remind you folks, we've only got 2 losses this year, and I want to remind you folks, we were in the college playoff the last 2 years. I want to remind you folks, before I did that, you haven't done jack since Mac Brown. Just want to get all that out there, everybody, while you're all criticizing me on your message boards or your social media. That was my first thought, right? But then you think about a little deeper. Sark was the OC in Atlanta with the Falcons, so he's been in the NFL. He's been a coordinator in the league, so he does have skins in the NFL game. And look, he's gotten to the college football playoff twice at Texas. He's kind of gotten them back in the right road, right, to where they're competing again on a high level. And maybe he's got an itch that none of us ever thought of that he wants to scratch to go back to the NFL, because he was there for a bit with Atlanta. So maybe there is something to it, Jay, more than we would think on the surface. And because he's got NFL experience, to me, I take it more seriously because he has been in the league, right? So let's play the game. God forbid, let's say Texas pops open to go with LSU and Florida and Penn State. How about that mess if that does happen?
Yeah. And what if FSU opens, right?
Oh, I think that one's going to open.
It feels like it really, really could. And then, again, UCLA, I certainly don't put UCLA in the same vein when it comes to pedigree of program, but in terms of the enticing opportunity that UCLA could provide if that administration wants to really go for it. They went for it once with Chip Kelly, and I think we forget that. Like they did pay a high-profile coach to come run things. I just think Chip runs into a lot of the other things that UCLA coaches do, and it's disjointed out there. The stadium's way over here, and the kids are down here, and it's an amazing academic school, and the beach isn't too far away.
Right.
It's sometimes hard, but the beach isn't too far away from Southern California either, USC, and yet, they seem to find a way, and their stadium's a long way from campus, right? So, anyway, I'm just saying there's some high profile gigs that are open, and what if Oklahoma has kind of a thud finish,
and they could. That schedule's tough, Jay.
They could. They could, and do they finally just look and say, oh, Brent, we love you, buddy, but you know what? And then, I don't know, and I'll be getting crazy, Terry, and I'm not on any meds, I promise, just Tylenol, sure? even though I'm still home. But what if Josh Heupel got back in the good graces of the folks at OU, and all of a sudden he went to Oklahoma and Tennessee came open? I mean, it's like Ghostbusters, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria. I mean, we just got all kinds of things that could happen, but it's shaping up. And I take some of this from what Seth Emerson wrote at The Athletic, where there's sort of a crazy, just absolute chaos theory scenario, and then there's everybody calms down, takes a deep breath, and realizes we're okay, let's be patient, and then there's something in the middle. Patience and Southeastern Conference fan bases have rarely gone hand in hand for too long. At times they do. I will give Kentucky credit for what they did with Stoops, and then he went on to have a couple of 10-win seasons and things like that. But anyway, just something to keep an eye on. We'll get into a few NFL thoughts for you as well that are out there. But how are you on this fine Wednesday, Mr. Ford?
Well, I was fine and the reason that I was not here to get us started was because, all right, so I'm leaving my palatial office on the 19th floor. And I decided I always want to bring something to drink. Now, I got some leftover coffee I haven't drank yet, and I want it, but it's only a little bit, so I figure I'll fill up my Colorado Buffalo mug that my daughter sent me and put some iced tea in there.
That's nice.
Yeah, again, that's what I get for my tuition. I get a mug. So anyway, and it's a mug with
That's
a top.
what I got for my hospital stay.
Exactly.
I got one of those nice cups at the hospital.
So it's a sealed mug, right?
It's got the big straw, man.
Oh,
got the
see,
big
that's
straw.
cool with the big straw. That's awesome. So
Sure.
I've got the seal. It's the sealed cup, my CU cup. So I put some tea in it, and I'm carrying it, and I got, again, I got a computer, I got stuff. So I got the cup a little tilted, the sealed one at the top, right? So I'm walking to the elevator, and I'm like, oh man, I dripped some iced tea on the floor. Crap. So I go to wipe that up. So I hit the elevator button again. I'm going down, and I look down, Jay. Oh no, sir. I didn't just drip iced tea on the floor. I dripped it on my shirt, my pants, and my shoes. So, give me credit for the ultimate in dope. Not only did I'm covered in iced tea, dude. So I was doing really well until I decided to carry the iced tea. But even though I thought it was sealed, to be fair, it was not sealed good enough, obviously, by me, because I'm now covered in sweet tea. How are you,
well, good
sir?
for you. Is it showing up on? Is it showing up? I'm about to pull up the YouTube channel.
Nah,
right
it's
now
not good because
here
you have the
in
3-shot. I don't have the 1-shot on me. I got to get the 1-shot on me. If you got the 1-shot on me and I turn the right way, I might show everybody my because I am going to. I'm not going to lie to you. While you're talking to Hale McGranahan at 3:30. I'm going to go to my office and put some sweats and a sweatshirt on because I'm not going to sit here covered in tea for 3 hours.
I was going to say, if you look out there, I guess to where you are now, you're in the control room, right? So if you look to your right over there in that cabinet over the printer near the pinball machine, we should have some station shirts. So just throw one of those on.
Dude, I cannot believe I did this. I was like, "Are you serious?" It's like I'm 4 years old, and I tipped my sippy cup. It's unreal. I am like, man, I'm a mess. I'm an absolute mess. I can't believe I did that.
I'm pulling.
Thank you.
I'm pulling for you.
I appreciate
I am wearing. If I were to spill something on myself today, I am wearing a navy blue Arsenal quarter zip, so you wouldn't be able to see it. So
are you going to Mont Paris on the quarter zip? Look at you.
Oh, dude, listen, I was a quarter zip guy before Lamont ever got the gig, so we have that in common, he and I. But I am
you're an OG.
For about the last 10, 12 years, that's what I get for Christmas, and my whole family knows it. They're like, just get Dad a new quarter zip, and I'm like happy. Seriously, I get like 2 new quarter zips a year. I now have like 2 whole shelves in my closet that are quarter zips. I wish it were colder in Columbia so I could wear them more often.
That's funny.
That's how much of a quarter zip guy I love the quarter zip. Trust me on that. We'll get into that for you too. 100 days till the Winter Games. I love the Olympics. So today and today's show had like all kinds of get up going on today for the 100 days. And I think, Terry, I think NBC may be covering the Winter Games. Maybe that's why they were doing so much on the Today Show. Maybe.
Really?
I'm not sure.
I haven't heard that.
I'm not sure if it was a promotional piece.
Are you sure that the Olympics are televised?
Maybe they just like the Olympics.
Yeah,
maybe they just like the Olympics.
Maybe they do. You know what? They're patriotic. They're just very patriotic.
Yeah, that's right. We have a new announcement. We'll talk about this next hour, but a new announcement on a CFP title game. My question for y'all to think about is, when they have this thing set, might we have had a new formatting of the college football playoff? Or does this basically tell us, nope, because logistics matter and you might have to go ahead and plan this far ahead for something like this? So we'll do that. And by the way, real quick, apropos of nothing, because I looked down and I have a note about Michael Jordan talking about load management.
Yeah, I saw that today.
This isn't what I'm going to bring up. Yeah, but I got to bring that up. Have you seen this clip? I guess was it Giannis last night against the Knicks with like taking 5 steps?
Oh my God, it's great.
But they say because he gathered the ball after like the 3rd step that you get more step. I'm like, wait a minute,
stop.
What?
Right, I know.
What?
It was one of the worst walks you'll ever see.
He had 5 steps
I
here.
know, man.
5 full steps. I counted. And they had the super slow-mo so you could all count them together. It's like 5 full. And it was because, Giannis is like 8'6". I mean, he started at like the hash mark. And it was only 5 strides, right? But I'm like, damn, the man got from the hash mark
it's impressive.
into the lane in five strides.
Especially when you have to dribble the ball. That's pretty impressive,
I know,
right?
With one dribble, 5 steps to the hole. That's a way to score buckets.
When I first saw that last night, I saw it on social media because somebody had put up the highlight about the walk, and I watched it, and I'm like, oh, my God, that's worse than what Patrick Ewing back when he was with the Knicks would take 3 steps all the time, and nobody hardly ever called it. So watching Giannis, that might be the worst walk I have ever seen in my life. It was crazy.
Yeah.
It was insane.
But I've seen some defending it. It's like, well, the rule says. I'm like, well, then that's a bad rule.
Yeah. And by the way, I've never heard that rule be employed in a game that I know of. And someone goes, well, in the rule book, Section 4B, page 17, line 4 says, I don't know. I've run around basketball courts my whole life, and when you do what Giannis did, that's a walk, and the other team gets the ball. Just saying. Yeah. Just saying.
So anyway, just if you haven't seen that, look it up. And
that's hilarious.
Maybe some of you will be like, well, if that's the rule, well, okay.
You know what? I'm gonna try that next time I play a game of pickup ball. I'm gonna try that and see.
Yeah, and then have the clip ready and go. Well, Giannis can do it.
And I'll break out the rule. Let me tell you a rule. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, all right, we got that for you. Come up on the other side. We'll start getting into some more sound from Coach Beamer from yesterday before we talk to Hale McGranahan and. Back to a football-related start bench drop. I called it on my tweet before the show, trophy-worthy. We will explain on the other side of the postgame show. Yeah. Is there a live read here, by the way? Okay. Hale's number is 864-650-2878. 864-650. Yep. I mean, you got... I guess you don't want to go up there now. You'll just go up there. All right, yeah, what are the lives? All right. That's all right. I got it. Okay. 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 Good. I'm glad we had one of those today so I can give my guy Wade a shout out. He was great. 5:15. Okay. Okay.
All right, get a little start bench drop in here on the post-game show. Sponsored by Carolina Honda Powerhouse. Jay Phillips, your trophy-worthy start bench drop. What do you got, man?
Yeah, so, yesterday we had some fun with Halloween candy while Ryan was in, which was fun. We started, we had Reese's, M&M's, and Snickers.
Yeah, what did you go with your? Because I had to go do my community service.
I started Reese's. That was an easy starter. That's like John Elway or Dave Craig for yeah. No, I started Reese's. That was mean. I'm sorry, Dave. Dave's a good quarterback.
By the way, I still believe he holds the record for most career fumbles. Dave Craig.
And who was the other? Steve, help me out. Steve,
quarterback or wide receiver?
No, Steve DeBerg.
Steve DeBerg was the one. Well, remember he was the starter, and then John Elway took over for Steve DeBerg.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
yeah. So,
in Denver.
After in that years in between Craig Morton and John Elway. Anyway, I started Reese's. I benched peanut M&Ms because you could do any kind of M&M. I just blended the M&Ms together. We took them. So I just said, but a peanut M&M, and I do love Snickers. I do. I'm a big fan of Snickers, but I dropped the Snickers. So you had to drop something. That makes it hard.
I'm with you. I just flipped my start and bench. I start the peanut M&Ms because I love them deeply. I also love me. Hell, I had a Reese's 2 days ago. I benched the Reese's, and I dropped the Snickers, but I also do love the Snickers. It was a tough one. That was a good one by you, dude.
No, I like. Yeah, no, I like Snickers. Snickers are fun. But anyway, today we're back to football. Now, hear me out. Today's start bench drop is these three SEC quarterbacks that are all Heisman worthy. We do not think these are the three leading candidates for the Heisman Trophy at large because you've got a couple of Big Ten quarterbacks that are going to be in there and some other guys, but these are just three from the SEC. So in alphabetical order, start bench drop these SEC Heisman candidates at this point in the season: Diego Pavia, Marcel Reed, Ty Simpson. Start, bench, drop those guys. I don't typically anymore go over these with Terry because I like to surprise him on the air, and it's just more organic when we start to talk about these things. But today I did because I needed his advice on whether we should put Chambliss in there since, Trinidad has become such a breakout player. And so, and I know this sounds snarky, but Terry and I decided together, well, hey, he didn't start the first two games, so that's what we'll do. Because otherwise, I still think Terry, and you do too. I know I won't speak for you per se, but Trinidad Chambliss can win the Heisman Trophy.
Oh, absolutely.
And if he stays on the trajectory that he's on, I think he gets invited to New York. But we had to draw a line somewhere. So for today, Diego Pavia, Marcel Reed, and Ty Simpson. Start, bench, drop those SEC guys. And we may do a little bit more of this, with Moore and Mendoza and some of the other guys that are worthy. And there may be some others that begin to creep into this conversation.
This is a real good one, too, man, because you can make a case for all three of these guys. People forget something. I mean, people really dig into college football know this. Texas A&M is the most anonymous, undefeated team in the country. And I tell you what, Marcel Reed, if you watched how he okey-doked LSU last Saturday and you look at his numbers for the year, running and throwing it, and A&M's undefeated, there's been a lot of talk about Ty Simpson. Obviously, Diego Pavia has been a thing for 2 years. Marcel Reed, let's not shortchange old Marcel in this whole conversation, just saying.
Yeah, well, and I think you made me laugh this morning when you said that LSU's still trying to tackle him because they are.
Absolutely. Oh, it's unbelievable.
But and I think I know where I'm going with my three. But if anybody wants to try and persuade me without me saying who I'm currently thinking about, then by all means hit us up and cast your vote, if you will, on Twitter. I'll throw out a tweet here in just a minute on my Twitter feed, or if not, of course, on the Firehouse Subs text line. But anyway, Tara, back to the Gamecocks, and again, Trinidad Chambliss, who Carolina will see on Saturday. So a nice segue, even if he's not part of our SBD today. But, last week, I think Carolina did a nice job of keeping Alabama in check, at least sadly until they didn't. And it presents Clayton and his defense another huge opportunity to go up against somebody who's really made a name for himself this season and see if they can do the same kinds of things. But he's such a different. I think the only game where he hasn't rushed for at least 40 yards was when they played Washington State. And he maybe just, or maybe it was Tulane. I forget. It was a game that they had that he just did, because I guess the Washington State game was tight. I'll go back and find the stat, but he can run well. I think there's only one game that he started where he didn't throw for at least 250 yards, and it was like 240 something. So I mean, this kid, I tell you, I don't know if he's the best player or whatever, but he is the surprise breakout player in all of college football, in my opinion.
Remember, what, Ferris State, right? Coming in through the portal, wasn't even the starter. Austin Simmons was going to be the starter, and really Chambliss is supposed to back him up, right? And look at what ended up happening. Simmons ineffective and then got hurt. Chambliss stepped in, and you can't get him out of the lineup. The only problem he's had all year was that fourth quarter against Georgia. I think he threw for 1 yard. And the whole offense struggled in that fourth quarter against Georgia. But Chambliss, to me, might be the story of the year, if not the Heisman Trophy winner. Still the story nobody saw coming. Is that fair?
Yeah. Now it's making me think we should have put him in this start, bench, drop. I don't know who to take out. Start, bench, drop, and we need a fourth.
IR? I don't know.
Yeah. Trade.
I just... It's tough because all four deserve to be in it. They just do. But you got to drop somebody. And
well, again, he may be added in a little bit later on.
But, I just thought of this, Jay. Do you think he's going to hear this and use this as a slight motivation against South Carolina on Saturday?
Yes.
Because he listens.
Local Columbia station doesn't put Trinidad Chambliss on nonsensical watch list.
Ready post game. When them guys in Columbia on that radio station didn't put me in that start bench drop thing, I was locked in.
Well, if that happens, hey, it's a feather in our cap.
That's right.
That's the best we can say. But anyway, so there you go. Start bench drop. Pavia, Reed, Simpson. If you want to throw Chambliss in there, hell, I don't care. It's all for fun. Do what you want to do.
A write-in vote.
Well, that's right. Why not? All right, we'll come back on the other side. Our buddy Hale McGranahan will join us. He on the beat for the Big Spur. He's been at these press conferences this week. What does he think of this particular start bench drop? More importantly, what is Hale learning about Carolina's opportunity to try and pull an upset in Oxford on Saturday night? We'll talk to Hale on the other side. It's the postgame show.
he's just very, very real. You know, he definitely keeps the SEC head coaches group texts that we're on. He definitely keeps that entertaining and lively with stuff that he may send on there, tweets that he has seen or whatever it might be. And sometimes there's, you know, he keeps it entertaining for sure.
Shane was about to say something, said, you know, it's probably good I just stop. But post-game show there, Shane Beamer talking about Lane Kiffin and the SEC coaches kind of group text, group chat. Lane keeps it entertaining and enlightening and probably sends stuff that, well, doesn't need to be repeated out of the group chat. Post-game show, Terry Ford, Jay Phillips. We're going to get Hale McGranahan here in a second. I bet you Lane is pretty funny on that group chat, man.
Yeah, I would like, you know how Oklahoma could, like, you can pay like whatever to go to Brent Venables' post-game presser. Like, what would the Southeastern Conference charge fans to be part of the coaches group text? Like, you can't send, you can only read.
But then Lane would stop because it's probably stuff that most of us he doesn't want us to see. Here's my question, really quick: did they kick Brian Kelly out?
Did he ever? You know, I bet he never really participated.
Yeah, because I mean, they probably didn't even know Billy Napier was part of the chat. Just saying.
By the way, have you seen? And then we'll bring Hale on. Have you seen Joe Rexroad's piece on some of the coaching vacancies, and then every single one of them that he had with like real candidates, and then he had like a Kelly's pitch, and it was all this fake stuff and like accents and did funny sayings, or it was great.
I haven't seen it. I got to look at it.
It was great. If you're an Athletic subscriber, I want to like get Joe on and just go, how long did it take you to come up with these, man? It was gold. We appreciate those who use the written word to make their living, and our buddy Hale McGranahan is certainly one of those. Always appreciate his time on the beat for the Big Spur. Hale, always good to have you, sir. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out, kind of help us read the room from yesterday. You were in it yesterday and today. This team has been so close so many times, and they know it. We know it. We see it. We feel it. What do they feel? How different, if at all, do these coaches and leaders feel relative to what fans are feeling, especially after what happened on Saturday afternoon?
I think they hurt just like the fans do, for sure. That's one thing that I think should probably be emphasized with where I start is those guys probably care just as much, if not more, than everybody else. I mean, they're the ones who are out there putting the performance together. Their jobs are on the line. It's their livelihood. So yeah, they certainly do care. And I know there are plenty of Carolina fans out there who've been watching the Gamecocks for a very, very long time, much longer than these players have been alive, and even some of the coaches too. But those guys care, and they want to get it turned around. They certainly don't want to be 3-5. I mean, they don't want to blow fourth quarter leads at Missouri and against Alabama at home. They're picking themselves up off the mat and trying to move forward. I thought the tone from Shane yesterday was very upbeat, optimistic, and positive, and not to say that he's not all those things always, usually, but he seemed like that. It seemed to me that was an emphasis for him going into yesterday and trying to convey that to the fans and to his team as well.
Yeah, I agree with you, and maybe even going back to Saturday night and Shane's post game, he made mention of, hey, look, we didn't wait till week 8 to make some changes, and maybe what we saw and what he said didn't completely jive, but we have seen this head coach try to put his hands into the plan as best he can. And sometimes he gets criticized for never having been a coordinator. I think sometimes those criticisms, my personal opinion, Hale, are a bit overblown. But it did feel that Saturday really did look like, and it wasn't a completely different offense, obviously, but it did feel like Saturday was the first time when maybe Mike Shula realized, all right, let me call some different things. And even then, there was still a lot of conservatism. But is there a feeling now that we're going to trend towards more of a different look, or do they have to kind of keep what they've been doing in order to to be better at running and executing these plays.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. Just because you're a good coordinator doesn't mean you're going to be a good head coach. I think we've all seen how that can work over the years.
Sure.
But as far as what they did on offense, I think we saw some of that at times in the Oklahoma game with some of the stuff they were doing, getting the ball out quickly onto the perimeter with screens and things like that. And I'm just personally a fan of that type of stuff, especially when you have a line that's, pretty banged up and struggles to block people at times and can just kind of help get things going, whether it's the quarterback getting into the rhythm or helping fill in some of the run game stuff that you can kind of build off of with those things. To me, it made a lot of sense to get the ball in those situations to guys like Jaden Sellers or Brian Rowe or Mazeo Bennett, just any of those guys who are really good after the catch and in space who I think are pretty good playmakers and can do some good things when given the opportunity. So the wrinkle with Matt Fuller doing the jet sweep stuff was fun to see, and I would have to think that they're going to try to continue not only building off of those things, but keeping them as consistent parts of their offense, because I think we all saw that it kind of worked, and if they can not get away from it so quickly, which I think might have been the case in the Oklahoma game, then maybe you give yourself a better chance to move the ball downfield and ultimately score touchdowns.
Talking to Hale McGranahan of the Big Spur, Carolina Ole Miss, Saturday night, 7 o'clock Eastern Time from Vaught-Hemingway Stadium in Oxford. Shane sang the praises of Nick Harbor, who did have a good game. Obviously had the touchdown catch, had some nice plays on special teams, but in terms of the touchdown, that was it. And it feels like there's still a struggle to get him going. What more have you been able to learn or observe about why that might be? Is it about how he's being defended? Is there something else that's missing? Because it just feels like, boy, you get him moving in the right direction, and so many more things would literally open up for this offense.
Yeah, I think how he's been defended is a pretty significant part, I would have to think. Most teams are very well aware, or all teams are very well aware of what he adds as a downfield threat. So they're going to try to take that away as best they can. What he does within the passing game beyond just running in a straight line as fast as he can, I think there are some ways to try to get him the ball and make some plays after the catch. And I don't know if maybe a screen pass or jet sweeps are necessarily the best thing for him, because he's a guy who needs to get vertically upfield. He runs in a straight line extremely fast. So maybe if you can figure out some ways to generate those easy types of touches for him, I think that would be beneficial. I think we've also seen at times that he's still figuring out how to play the position and how to, go up and make a catch and control his body and use his hands and do all those little nuanced type things that we sort of take for granted when we watch really talented wide receivers do, that he's still kind of figuring out, I think, and hasn't totally gotten as good as maybe he could be with more reps. So still need to keep him involved within this offense for sure, and I think try to figure out some easy ways to get him touches, because I mean he's a big guy obviously, and he runs really fast and he runs really hard, and when he gets tackled and falls down, he's going to probably fall forward and gain another couple of yards just because he's so big. So I think the more they can try to get him involved in some of those easy types of scenarios, I think that could be beneficial as well.
Let's talk about the defense for a second. Played well, and again, I hate to say it this way, but I'm just gonna. I think it's the easiest way to say it. They played well until they didn't. They're very, very late. And Alabama, maybe mixed a little bit up, went right down the field to tie the ball game, and got there too. How was Clayton today when it comes to how his team, his unit at least, played overall, but knowing that that couple of minutes proved quite costly?
Yeah, I think he was kind of typical Clayton that we've gotten to know over the last 5 seasons. You can feel good all you want about the 5 3 and outs, all the good things they did, and say, hey, we put the team in position to go win a game. But when it mattered the most, on that touchdown drive to tie the game, they couldn't get off the field. So I think for him, that's just going to kind of stick in the back of his mind as he looks at this game and not be able to be totally satisfied with it because they didn't get the win. Yeah, there's some stuff to feel good about, but at the end of the day, he's a competitor and wants to do everything he can to have his defense do their part. And unfortunately for them, all it took was really one drive for that to not be the case, I guess. And yeah, they're, I think, getting past that and trying to move on to the next thing.
I got one more thing for you, but I'm up against a break. But can I hold? Because I know you've got a brand new piece on the Big Spur about a recruiting story that I think is proving to be dramatic. Can I ask you to hold over for just one more question on that on the other side?
Definitely.
All right, good deal. All right, because y'all want to hear this, and this is brand new with Hale having this up on the Big Spur here in the last little bit. So sit tight. Little recruiting drama between Carolina and a Big Ten school. You're listening to the postgame show. Integrated Media, ready to make sure that everything you watch and listen to is done better than ever before. They are the most fantastic experts when it comes to home theater installation, service, technology. Love what they've done at my house. Honestly, people ask me all the time, you really mean that when you say it? Yes. Yes, I do. I couldn't live without them now. I mean, that's how much a part of what we do around the house every day, Integrated Media has become. And it's not just the home theater setup. Again, our thermostat is controlled through the app here. You can get your lights, your security system all in one place. And whether it's a brand new system, upgrading your equipment if you love what you've got in terms of a setup, or maybe you're moving, they can help you out with that. Outdoor setup, and really something else to think about, Wi-Fi that works everywhere. They can get that for you, too, all right? No matter what you need when it comes to home technology. 803-948-8327. Work with Integrated Media.
All right, post-game show. Got that change of clothes. I'm now good. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips. Thank our buddy Hale McGranahan for hopping in with us. Gonna get that.
Yeah, Hale's going to hang around for one more here.
Is
has
he?
just put up. Yeah, I think you still have him, don't you? Make sure you
Yeah,
have.
he's still
You didn't
here.
hang-
Hey, Hale.
All right, good.
Hey.
There he is. What's up, buddy?
Yeah, there he is. Making sure you didn't hang up on him there since you got your new shirt.
I'm
your
good.
hands
Now,
were-
I told Hale my
Okay,
story.
That's good. Okay, that's good. That's
Yeah,
good.
Hale knows what a moron I am, so we're good.
But no, I asked Hale to hang over because he's got a story that he put up. I guess you put this up right before you came on the air with us, so this is like fresh off the press. But Mike Loxley was on Big Station up in the DMV 106.7 The Fan earlier today, talking about Zion Ely. Am I saying his last name correctly? From Baltimore.
Believe so, yeah.
Okay. A 5-star defensive end that Carolina and Maryland and others are after, and he was down here in Columbia this past weekend. And on the show, and I'm just going to read it, Hale, and I'm going to let you take it from here. Why would I be mad for Zion to make $5 to $10 grand to go down to South Carolina? And he's been one of those guys that's been really loyal to this area, loyal to me and the program that we've created. We have constant dialogue. So some of these schools have the ability to where they take kids to come take visits and they hide it behind the NIL stuff, end quote. Now, you also say he tried to walk it back. So I read the quote. You kind of take it from there.
Yeah, so he went on to say that he didn't say, he said, not saying that's what happened, but over the years, if I have great communication with a kid, I can't operate out of fear. If Maryland isn't the best situation for him, we'll go find somebody else. We've done that. That was the end of his comments about Zion Ely, his direct comments too. I was not aware that was allowed these days. I know a lot has changed over the years with the NCAA, but
Yeah.
I don't think you can. Yeah. I think that's one rule that still does exist. Head coaches or any coaches.
That's the first thing that
about
hit me, guys, was, well, wait a minute. You can't talk about someone that's not, signed a letter of intent and is going to come to your
that hasn't put
university.
pen to paper. Yeah.
I mean,
All
did
right.
I miss that rule change?
Well,
think
who
so.
knows in today's world, or does anybody just
Right.
not care? All right, Hale. Now we've gotten some of the fact out of the way. All right, so now we're going to have you interpret this for us. What should we take from this?
It's a great question. And the second thought that came to my mind, because the first one, like y'all, was, is that allowed? I don't think he's allowed to say that. If I'm the player in that scenario and the coach I'm committed to, or really if any coach who I'm considering going to play for, if he comes out and says that publicly about me going and taking a visit because I got however much money, I probably wouldn't be too thrilled about that coach putting my business out there like that. That's just me.
Right.
Maybe this particular player is different. Maybe other people are different. But for me, I'd probably be like, man, why do you got to say that? Like, what was that all about?
Well, can I throw
how
something
does
at you
she-
guys? Can I throw just a scenario?
Yeah, yeah.
Because, again, I'm obviously a little familiar with Maryland and Loxley. Because Maryland's lost a lot of people in that backyard over the years. A lot of people jump the fence and leave the backyard for the Terps in football. Maybe, guys, I'm just throwing you. Tell me what you think. Maybe Loxley's getting the feeling he's losing him, so you got nothing to lose now by throwing the business out there. Because maybe all of a sudden you don't have that kid locked up anymore. Because Maryland's been fighting off people ever since he verbaled. Maybe Loxley's feeling like he's not going to get him anymore, whether it's South Carolina or somebody else. I don't know.
Hale, you
Yeah,
take it.
I suppose that could be the case. I mean, based on what Loxley said, it seems like he's not concerned. Just because he's talking about how he feels like they've had great communication and all that. So maybe that's not a problem for him.
I don't know.
But I don't know.
I'm with you, Hale. If I got a kid locked up and he's coming to my university, I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying this. Well, he's making a visit. Good luck. I'm not saying all that because, like you said, what if that changes the whole dynamic? I mean, you put that kid's business out there.
Right, and
Yeah.
and go ahead, Jay.
Go. No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So what I will add, in, I guess, specific to this guy, to Zion Ely, I can't imagine that he's really excited about Mike Locksley saying that about him going on the visit and getting that money.
No,
just kind of knowing how this recruitment has taken shape and how Zion Ely has kind of operated, especially with South Carolina. He came down in the summer in June with a group of recruits from the DMV area, and
CHW Cabinetry, we talk about Star and her crew all the time. Reason is, if you are looking, obviously, for high-quality cabinetry, CHW Cabinetry is the place to go. In Lexington, you just make a phone call, you set up an appointment, and once you do that, you sit down with the folks there, and they will help you start to finish. 803-520-6837 is the number. You sit down, you say, here's what I'm looking for. I want cabinets here in the house. Here's the style I'm looking for. CHW Cabinetry will get to work, get what you're looking for in your style, in your taste, in your budget, is what CHW Cabinetry will do. And the best customer service. So hold your hand from beginning to end. Photorealistic renderings to let you see everything step by step. It is CHW Cabinetry. Again, 803-520-6837. Make that call. Set up a visit. You'll be happy you did. Our post-game show with Terry Ford, Jay Phillips, and for a while, Hale McGranahan from the Big Spur. We apologize to Hale there. Jay, it's called a network hard break.
The computer, that's like it's like HAL in 2001. That's the only time in the hour. We're seriously inside baseball here. That's the only time in the hour where we cannot control.
Nope.
What happens there? The computer automatically takes over at that last break of the hour. So yeah, we're sorry. I just texted Hale. He's like, I can call you back. But we were talking about a recruiting story. But if this continues to develop, we may have Hale back on as hell. Who knows, man? As soon as tomorrow.
Yeah, I know.
But this is interesting. But if you missed it, Hale has a brand new piece out, and I just retweeted it with a Steve Harvey gif to go along with it. So have fun with that. But there's a kid named Zion Ely, a 5-star defensive end from Baltimore, who's being courted by many, many, many schools. But it feels like Carolina and Maryland are maybe out front for him right now. And Mike Loxley is 106.7 a Baltimore station or a DC station?
That's DC. That's their. Okay. That's the DC Sports Talk behemoth. Is the Fan in Washington.
Okay, so I joke as I say 106.7 the Fan is like 107.5 in Columbia.
Yes, exactly.
All right, good.
But we're in more markets. We're in more markets than they are.
But a show called, well, I'm glad we're in more markets. I'm still going to go out on a limb and say they might have more people.
You think?
That's a whole. I'm just saying. I've been to D.C. once or twice.
That is a hot take, pal. That's a hot take by you.
I do what I can. But anyway, this kid was here for the Bama game. Maryland did not have a game last week. And the guys on a show called the Sports Junkies asked Coach Loxley about the visit. And in so many words, it basically sounded like he said Carolina paid Zion $5 to $10 grand to come down here just to visit and then hide it behind NFL stuff, he said. Some of these schools have the ability where they take kids to come take visits and they hide it behind the NIL stuff. But then he added that he's, quote, not saying that's what has happened. I mean, Terry, look, I don't want to spend too much time on this because, I haven't heard the interview yet. Hale put this out, as I said, Hale put this out right before he came on the air with us last hour. But that, number one, as you say, maybe the rule has changed and we just missed it. I can't keep up with every rule change these days. And but you're, a current head coach of a college program has previously been forbidden to speak about a recruit in any way, shape, or form, specifically, unless that kid is no longer a recruit, but instead is a signed player. So that wouldn't even be a commitment. You're not even a commit at that point.
Nope.
You've signed. That's the only time. And again, unless something's changed and I missed it, and if something changed, y'all let us know. I mean, again, just like with this Giannis thing, show us the rule.
Yeah.
But it's and then too, Terry, to throw out that kind of shade and say that, well, hey, if they're just going to pay a kid $5 or $10 grand to come take a visit, who am I to get mad? Well, but that, I mean, even to say, well, that, I'm not saying that's what happened. I mean, in a lot of ways, man, and again, I'm not a lawyer either, but there seems like there'd be grounds for Carolina or others, and if he's done it for other schools, to have some kind of legitimate gripe about this, not just kind of being sore about it, but instead going, wait. You can't just go on public airwaves and insinuate that we paid a kid $5,000, $10,000 just to come visit our campus and mention him by name and then not be able to back it up. Like, you can't. This is problematic to me. I honestly, I saw it real quick, Terry, and I've read Hale's piece now 3 times over. It's pretty short because I think he'll probably have some detail later. But the more I sit here and think about it, the more I think this is a horrible, horrible look for Mike Loxley, and something that that Shane and Jeremiah Donati might want to take a look at.
I'll say this. If you're Mike Locksley, this is one of those things you better have some kind of concrete proof to back up what you're saying, or you shouldn't say it. But two, even more important, again, like I said to you guys in the last segment, I'm not going to throw that out there because I don't want to lose a recruit. And I don't know how Ely's going to handle having his business put out there by the coach of the school he is verbal to. I don't know. And at the end of the day, that's why I said to you guys, maybe, and Locksley can say everything's fine. I can say anything, right? But if everything's fine, why would you take a shot when you don't need to take a shot? That's my point, is that why would you bring this out in the open because you have no reason to, especially if that kid is solid with you. And a lot of people, look, Locksley's trying to hold on to Ely at Maryland because he's such a highly touted recruit. But if you've really got him tight, Jay, you're not putting his business out there, right? I mean, that's my thought.
Yeah, again, this becomes problematic for Coach Locksley on multiple levels, man. I don't really, I guess I'm in some way, Terry, trying to find, maybe, and you are too, and Hale was as well. I'm trying to find a benefit here. Like, what good do you think you're doing? I used to say that to my, when your kids get in trouble, what was the point of this? What, if you did something that you shouldn't have done, what did you think was going to happen, or what was the outcome you thought might be there for you when you knew in advance that this was a risk? I'm trying to figure that part of it out.
Yeah, I'm digging for the win for Locksley. I just am. I mean, again, do you think that saying that puts some kind of negativity, whether it was South Carolina or whatever program was that the visit happened? I think Locksley would have said it at whatever program he visited this past weekend. Or he has some clear evidence this really happened. If you have clear evidence, you better bring it up now, dude, because you put it out there. But to me, saying it, I just can't find the benefit. That's why my thought was, well, maybe you're losing the kid, so you want to get a shot because you don't have the grip on him anymore. Because for a while there, the Maryland people thought it was solid, the verbal, and. Yeah. Now with the official visit to South Carolina, maybe Locksley's losing grip and I wants to, take some punches on his way out, so to speak, because I don't see how you say this, Jay, and make this kid want to come to Maryland more, if you know what I'm saying. I just don't.
I do. I absolutely do. And again, I've retweeted this on mine, and you can see it at, Hale McGranahan's Twitter feed is simply Hale McGranahan to follow him if you don't already. But and Hale goes into as well the fact that there's a little bit of negative recruiting history between Coach Locksley and Coach Beamer for a kid named Jay Sean Barham a couple of years ago, where Jay Sean had told Shane right up until the end, I'm coming. And then Shane basically said that he got a phone call that said, look, just want you to know this kid's going to tell you he's coming, and a couple of days from now, he's going to tell you he's not. And Shane, to that note, said, this was way back then, 2021, said, so I can't sit here and say that I was shocked. Now, again, that was nearly 4 years ago.
Right.
But I don't know. Again, I want to be careful to not make too much of this because I just don't have enough detail. But on the surface of what I'm able to see and what Hale's been able to report on, again, problematic, Terry, is the word I come up with. This is not something that I think is in the best interest of anybody, to be perfectly honest with you.
It's just, to me, it's just weird. Why would you say it? And two, look, yeah, with Locksley, a lot of schools come in and poach the DMV. It's got a ton of high-level talent, Dylan Stewart, Nick Harbor, just to name two. The DMV has a lot of talent. Maryland's a basketball school. It's not a football school. Well, I'd like to get back to being a basketball school, but it's not a football school. And Locksley tries to hold on to players, but he has a tough time doing that. And he sees them jump the fence all the time and run. And so Shane has come down and, his assistants, and has poached the DMV for some high-level talent. And so Locksley, it probably doesn't make Mike Locksley happy. And, of course, remember, South Carolina is the closest SEC school to the University of Maryland. So,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the part of this is frustration too. He's tired of losing to Shane and those guys, and he might be losing another one. And this kid's high level, 5-star, so maybe Loxley's just like that bleep in South Carolina. They're getting one of my guys again, and so he wants to. But you got to be, Jay, you got to be able to back up statements like that. You just have to.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I mean, does he do this? Because look, I mean, Penn State recruits the heck out of the D.
Yes.
I mean, and you and I were joking a minute ago about market size, but just to remind everybody, between the Baltimore and DC metros, when you combine them, you got more than 10 million people. I mean, it's recruiting. It's like recruiting in Georgia almost. Not quite as big as Georgia, but it is in a way. It's like recruiting Atlanta. There's just so many people. There's so many high schools that you're gonna have these incredible amounts of talent just because of the volume of the players that are up there. So even if and let's face it, even if DC Baltimore is more of a basketball hotbed, and it is, there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, still thousands and thousands of kids that love to play football in a huge area. So, I mean, everybody. I mean, let's face it, Terry. Everybody recruits the DMV.
Yes,
at least you should be.
Well, you should be. And the thing is, too, you can get those players because University of Maryland, it's not the University of Georgia. It's not the University of Alabama.
They don't really dream of playing for UMD or UVA.
No, they don't.
Either one of those schools.
Because remember, the DMV, when it comes to football, is a pro area with 2 NFL teams. Maryland only matters when they're very, very, very good. And like when they went to the Orange Bowl and got trucked by Florida in Ralph Friedgen's first year, that's the only time Maryland football will matter in the DMV. If they're 7-5 or 6-6 or 8-4, everybody goes, "Oh, yeah, that's cute. What are the Ravens and the Commanders doing this weekend?" It's just a different vibe, man. So you can go in there and poach a lot of talent because, like you said, those kids aren't dreaming of running up and down the field to College Park to play football. They're just not.
No, yeah. Again, when you're recruiting Atlanta, you got to realize that a bunch of those kids, or not just Atlanta. Hell, if it's Augusta, Valdosta, Savannah, wherever, Macon, Columbus, those kids grow up dreaming of playing for the Georgia Bulldogs. You recruit New Orleans, Baton Rouge, Monroe, Shreveport. They grow up dreaming of playing for LSU. It's not the case in the DMV. I mean, if they want to play, they'll. I mean, and I don't mean this in a negative way. I mean it in a realistic way. A highest bidder kind of thing in a lot of cases, or just I want to get out of town. Do I want to go to State College and go to a small town, or do I want to go to Columbus, or do I want to come to Columbia, or do I want to go to Knoxville, or do I want to go to Syracuse, or whatever? So anyway, interesting story that could be developing here with Mike Loxley, again, throwing a little shade South Carolina's way on a huge DC sports station today. We'll keep our eye on that. We'll get back into our start bench drop on the other side and more on what the Gamecocks are up to here on a interesting post-game show. A swimming pool owner one day, but aren't yet currently. You can call Griffin Pools and Spas for that. But maybe you already have a pool in your backyard. Now is a fantastic time to call Griffin if you need some repairs done, whether it's pool or spa repair. But maybe that pump and filter system keeping the water a little cloudy or kind of loud, and you're like, man, how old is that thing? They can upgrade it to new, more efficient pumps and filters to keep everything running smooth. If you've got a vinyl pool, now's a great time in the off-season to get that vinyl liner replaced. Maybe it's just a little faded out, getting a little worn, whether it's the chemicals, the sun, combination of all of it. Safety covers. They've got some from CoverLogic now that are the ultimate solution to keeping everything looking great and keeping everybody safe around the pool when it's not in use. Check them out online, griffinpoolsandspas.com, steps away from the Lake Murray Dam.
Quick check on the traffic. We had a couple accidents to let you know about. Meeting Street near 12th Street in Columbia, also North Brickyard Road near Bee Ridge Road. US 176 Broad River Road at I-20. Heavy traffic, I-26 westbound Sunset Boulevard, exit 110, and St. Andrews Road, exit 106. So between those two exits, heavy traffic. But the traffic is flowing really nice. I-20 westbound Fairfield Road, exit 70, and I-26 at exit 64. Running the post-game show. Terry Ford, Jay Phillips. All right, Jay Phillips, I got a wonderful phone call. A very nice gentleman.
Yeah.
Who told me, he's a librarian, told me that he has researched this, that South Carolina is the second closest SEC school to the DMV. Guess who is 25 miles closer?
I will either say Kentucky or Tennessee. Let me say, I'm going to say Knoxville.
Try the other one.
Kentucky.
Lexington, Kentucky. 25 miles closer than Columbia, South Carolina.
All right.
So thank you. We appreciate that.
That is. So that's another 20 minutes of driving.
Yeah, a little extra 20, 25 minutes. So, Bill, thanks. He goes, I'm a librarian. I've researched it. I was like, all right, man, good deal. Good deal. But, so, yeah, second closest SEC school to the DMV. Just to get that out there.
Okay, well, then let's say it's probably the best program that is closest to the DMV.
Yes, I would say so.
Sorry, Kentucky.
No
Sorry,
offense.
Kentucky.
No offense. Ready? With all due
Yeah.
respect.
Yeah, with all due respect,
With all
That's
due
right.
respect, we're now going to be disrespectful,
as far as you know.
as far as you know. All right, what's your start
it's all
bench
about.
drop, sir?
Start bench drop these SEC Heisman candidates. Not saying these are the 3 best Heisman candidates nationally, simply the best from the SEC at this point. And we cut Trinidad Chambliss out of this mix, not because we don't like him. We like him a lot. But Terry and I said all these other guys have started all season, and Trinidad didn't. So we sadly used that against him because we didn't know who else to take out of the mix, and there's only 3 in start bench drop. We don't have start bench drop. So Diego Pavia, Marcel Reed, Ty Simpson. Those are your choices for SEC Heisman candidates. So obviously your starter would be the one that you might think could win this trophy. And I know a lot of people think Ty Simpson is the guy kind of out front nationally, Terry. I told you I kind of came up with this one this morning, at least in terms of the idea, because I was watching part of Cole Kubelik's show, and he was really he is very high on Diego Pavia, and Cole talks about the Heisman Trophy more like an MVP award than an MOP award, and some do, some don't, and I think that's one of the things. That's why there's so many voters, and how they look at the Heisman, because I think it is supposed to go to the most outstanding player in college football for a particular season. But I don't have a problem necessarily with those who may view it as something of value. And again, you and I have talked about this a lot. The V, when it's an MVP award, you need to put some real stock in the value of a player to his team when you're giving that award. That's my personal opinion. Otherwise, call it an MOP award, and then we have a lot less conversation and debate about some of these things. And Terry, I'll say it again. I always go back just so anybody can know from where I'm coming from when we talk about these things. Even though it's not college football, but 1987, Andre Dawson won the MVP award in the National League. The Cubs finished last. And I joke a lot. And I joke with you, Terry, but we did this about a month or 2 ago. I forget exactly when. And I was like, the value that Andre provided that year was that the Cubs didn't lose 110 games.
Right.
I mean, because he was the best player in the National League. I don't have any doubt about that. Late 80s, yeah. I mean, dude, Andre Dawson, when he went from Montreal to Chicago, that was a huge deal because in Montreal, he might have been the best player in the National League. I mean, that guy was feared. But you finished last. Where's the value in that? Right? Oh yeah, you didn't lose 110 games because you had a great player.
Yeah.
But anyway, I don't. However you look at it, but today Cole, to come back around to it, Cole was talking about Diego Pavia, and just really saying, listen, if you just think he plays for Vanderbilt, or you just think he's some loudmouth or whatever, then you're just not understanding what this kid means to Vanderbilt football. Not only last season, but certainly this. I mean, hell, Terry, they're in the top 10, man. They're 7-1. They're in the top 10.
Yes.
They just beat LSU. They've beaten Missouri. They've beaten some really good football teams. They came to Columbia and were absolutely dominant last month. This is a good team. They went to Blacksburg and won. I know these aren't great teams that they're beating necessarily. LSU, a loaded team though. And they gave Alabama a fight for a half. So I get it. I'm not trying to say I'm leaning towards Diego Pavia. And full disclosure, I'm a Heisman voter. I don't know which way I'm going yet, and I like Dante Moore and I like Diego Mendoza. I have no idea yet, I'm actually kind of glad that I have no idea, Terry, because this is one of the more wide open races we've had in several years.
Yeah, and I'm with you on the most valuable player. There's a lot more components to just stats. There's what do you mean to your team's success? How valuable are you to your team's success? So I'm with you on MVP compared to most outstanding player. Most outstanding player is, best player, right? Best player,
Yeah.
and sometimes that's best player with best stats. So the Heisman, to me, they say the best player in college football. And this year, that's very difficult to quantify the best player in college football. And look, let's be real. This award has become usually the best quarterback in college football. It just has.
The best quarterback on a top 10 team.
Yes.
Is what it feels like it's become.
I mean, there are times when we can go back and look, and the best quarterback in the country wasn't on a top 10 team. He was on a team with a crap defense, right? And he doesn't play defense, but he's getting basically knocked against because the defense stinks. Or there's a running back that's just phenomenal, but the running backs don't win the award most of the time anymore. So, I mean, that's kind of where this award has gone. And that's why the three you pick, I mean, you can take so many different directions with it. Like, the numbers that Marcel Reed puts up as a dual threat, Ty Simpson and Diego Pavia don't, right? What Ty Simpson does throwing the football, neither one of the other two can do. But Diego Pavia has lifted an entire program and changed the culture of an entire football team. Plus, he is playing well on the field, too. So it's just whatever direction you want to go with this one. That's fine. That's why it's so damn fascinating, because you can pick either one of these three, and I'd go, okay, I got you. I'm not going to fight with you about it, because they all three bring a different dynamic. To, by the way, the three combined have lost 2 games. Their teams.
Yeah.
Their teams have lost 2 games.
So it's a fun one. And again, Trinidad Chambliss, I think, is going to be in the mix ultimately out of the Southeastern Conference. Again, Mendoza at Indiana, Moore at Oregon. Who are we leaving out? There's a couple others here and there.
Yeah.
There's a couple of running backs that are in the mix, but we'll see where this kind of stuff goes here.
Well, it's interesting. Okay, so if you go over to
Jeremiah Smith, I guess will be in the mix.
Yeah, even though he hasn't had the year he had last year, he probably will, because Ohio State's number 1 in the country and undefeated. Julian Sayan's putting up some numbers. It's just not.
I was going to say Sayan. Yeah, Sayan has had a really. That's the thing. I and I look. Let's not cry any tears for Ohio State here, but Ohio State. I forget who said it. One of the national guys said it a couple of weeks ago. Ohio State's biggest issue this year is that they're so good, they're boring, and no one's paying attention to them.
Nobody's looking at them right now. They're 7-0, and if you look at those guys, okay, they played Texas. It was a 14-7 game. They won at home.
That's the only time people looked at them.
Since then, God love Grambling. They tried. It was 700-0. They beat Ohio like a drum. They went to Seattle and beat UW by 3 scores. What they did to Minnesota was a felony in 42 states. They were half asleep and beat Illinois.
What are the 8 where it's not, Ter? That's the question. Exactly. Answer that later.
They doubled up Illinois easy. They shut out Wisconsin. They have not been threatened since that game against Texas. And so they've kind of gone under the radar because, like you said, they've been so efficiently phenomenal, and they're not. Again, I mean, look, Illinois was ranked, Wisconsin, Minnesota. I mean, they're okay. They're not great. Washington is above average, but again, not great. Ohio, Grambling. So they haven't had a marquee game. And Penn State, everybody thought it was going to be a marquee game, Jay. That's not a marquee game anymore. You're going to go to Purdue. Ryan Day can beat Purdue by himself. Then you got UCLA, which could be interesting. Rutgers is They really aren't going to get tested seriously until they go to Ann Arbor again.
And how serious might that actually be?
I don't know.
We'll see. We'll see. By the way, this weekend's Ohio State-Penn State spread, which was supposed to be the game of the year, is now Ohio State minus 20.5.
Is that all? I thought it'd be 120.5. I'm surprised it's only 20.5.
But you know what? If it were, let's just pretend for 30 seconds, because that's about what we have here, that Penn State was at full strength. It's still going to be Ohio State by what? 8?
Yeah, I was going to say 7. I was going to say a touchdown. I just Ohio State would obviously be favored. Yes, but
yeah. So anyway,
look, again,
but, have fun with that.
James was still there. You know what I mean?
Start pitch, right? Yeah, he had a great record against good teams. Start pitch drop: Diego Pavia, Marcel Reed, Ty Simpson. We'll get some of those. I've thrown it out on Twitter. You can hit us on the Firehouse Subs text line. We'll have more from Shane Beamer on the other side as the postgame show rolls on.
Clear, bud.
Out here in the fall, they've got a winning play for your yard for a limited time. You can upgrade your Toro, that's what I have, or your Gravely mower with a new bag system or mulch kit. And now it's up to $75 off. And when you buy it, It gets installed for free by the fantastic techs over there on West Beltline Boulevard at Cato's Power Equipment. So save your weekends for football. Let Cato's handle the tools you rely on to maintain your turf. Again, stop in and see them. Let them fit you in the right power equipment. I mean, I've got some fantastic Toro products, my mower, my saw, my blower. Love these things. And I got to feel them, hold them, use them in the shop, even turn the blower on full bore inside. They let me. 4012 West Beltline Boulevard, and learn more at catospowerequipment.com.
All right, let's get our check on the traffic, our first one of the afternoon. So far, we got stop and go, I-26 westbound between Sunset Boulevard, that's exit 110, and St. Andrews Road, exit 106. Accidents, North Brickyard Road near Bee Ridge Road, Two Notch Road near Sparkleberry Lane, I-176 Broad River Road near I-20. We'll jump back in here. Hear from Shane Beamer about the wide receivers and their development. A lot was being touted in wide receiver room. We'll hear Shane talk about their development next, and we'll talk about it also here on the post-game show. Post-game show, Terry Ford, Jay Phillips, as we move this baby till 6. Oh, let's see here, Jay. Tomorrow night, Carolina calls with Shane and Todd Ellis. That's at 7. Then Thursday night football at 8. Ravens, Dolphins. Lamar's going to play, which probably means the Dolphins lose. So that is our lineup for tomorrow night.
Glad Lamar's back.
Yeah, after 3 games, look, they stole that one against the Bears at home last week, the Ravens. So that was good. But anyway, yeah, they got a lot of winning they got to do. So Ravens in Miami to face the Dolphins. By the way, we laugh because, Preston picked the Atlanta Falcons as his team this year, right?
Yeah.
How's that going? Because
the Bears and Falcons remind me a lot of each other. And they're like, one week you're like, hey.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next week you're like, you knew there was a game, right?
I mean, think about the Falcons for a minute. They whooped the Bills, right? I mean, they beat the Bills like they stole something from them. Yeah. And then they've lost by, 30 to Carolina, and then they got embarrassed by one of the worst teams in the NFL in their barn. Help me out, man.
Yeah, Miami just dissected them. I don't know if Miami can do that again this week or not. And Miami's kind of like that, too. Maybe not quite to the degree the Falcons are, but that's the Falcons, man. Like they don't have a medium week. It feels like they either have a great week or they stink.
Right. It's awful. It's so weird.
So.
And it's like it doesn't even depend on. Doesn't matter who the coach is. It's just this is the Falcons. Remember, you changed coaches because you had this problem with the last coach.
Yeah. Well, the Falcons, I mean, look, they had a couple of, Dan Reeves got them to a Super Bowl, and
the
they
great
got
Mike
that
Smith.
One, they should have won, 10 years ago, whatever it was. Not 10, I guess 8 years ago.
And then they had our boy that's in D.C. now, got him to a Super Bowl. They blew it against the Patriots.
So,
yeah.
Anyway.
I remember that great Super Bowl when Eugene Robinson, anyway.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, who won that Super Bowl, Jay? You remember?
I do, but I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so I'll just leave it alone.
It could have been worse. Eugene Robinson could have been the NFL Man of the Year. Oh, he was. That's right. Yeah.
Ouch. Speaking of tomorrow, before we move on to hear from Shane, our buddy Eli Savoy, Sports 56 in Memphis, Tennessee, will join us at 3:30. He'll give us a preview of what's going on with the Ole Miss Rebels. Might talk a little bit more about what's going on out their way, including the Memphis Tigers with an opportunity to get to the college football playoff. But we'll primarily get a report from Eli. And for those who say Memphis and Ole Miss, remember, Oxford's only about 45 minutes away, and basically the biggest town that covers Ole Miss a lot is Memphis, actually. I mean, Jackson, too, but Eli and Greg do a great job. I think Greg will be off to call the Memphis-Houston game, so he will not be around tomorrow. But Eli is going to join us tomorrow in the 3 o'clock hour. All right, Taylor, let's hit this one. So much has been talked about. I think you just alluded to it at the end of the traffic about this Carolina receiving corps. And has it not gotten going because plays can't develop? Has it not gotten going because these guys are just young and still finding their way? Let's hear from what Shane Beamer says about that group so far.
Yeah, I think those guys have all continued to get better. I think you've, seen guys develop more and more that we want to feature, guys like Nick Harbor. You saw what he did last week and what he does to defenses. He's continued to develop and come along. I think you see the freshmen, Murph and B-Row, and Malik Clark is a guy that continues to get better, that it's been playing in games. So, seeing those guys, the way they're working, Jaden and his development. So you see those freshmen continue to come along. You see Nick continue to take steps. Jerry Brown and Mazio still right there in the mix. So it's a solid group of guys, and they complement each other well, and been pleased with their continued development. Thought Donovan Murph did a lot of really good things on Saturday and continues to get better. And we need all those guys to continue to come along. A couple of the freshmen that aren't playing right now, Lex Cyrus, Jordan Gidron, are going to be really, really good players here, and they continue to work and get better. So pleased with that group overall.
And again, Terry, I there was a lot of promise, and if you didn't hear us yesterday, I'm not saying I'm trying to be careful when I say this, but I want everybody to hear me clearly when I discuss the offense from my own point of view and give my opinions. Because I know there's been a lot of consternation, amongst other things we could say, when it comes to Mike Shula and some of the things that have happened. And I do think there are things Mike could do better in terms of his scheme. But that said, how much of this offense's problems have been attributed directly, Terry, to the inability to get a play going because of the offensive line, and that trickle-down effect to whether it's running backs that maybe don't show as much promise, or again receivers and tight ends that you thought you were going to have big years from. Again, we talked about it with Hale last hour. we're hearing good things about Nick Harbor. And I love what Nick could be, but the fact of the matter is Nick Harbor had one catch the other day. It was a huge catch for a huge play and a score, and he had some nice plays on special teams, but that was it. That was it. Every other pass catcher had at least 2 catches, and some had 3 or 4, but Nick only had the one. Again, I'm not blaming anything directly on Nick about that, but it's just hard for me to look and say it's only the guy in charge of the offense when I don't see enough plays have time to develop, and then other aspects of the offense show some of the production that we thought they would.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's a multi-tiered deal. And you're right. The offensive line, there's an issue there when you don't have time to throw and you're running for your life. You can't really see the field and throw to open receivers, right? Because usually you're trying to avoid getting decapitated. That's a problem. Try anything in your life. Try running from something and then calmly turning around and identifying anything except running for your life. So that's part of it, is a ton of pressure on Linares where he can't really process, read the field, and throw to open receivers. 2, I mean, Linares at times misses open receivers. They pointed one out on the TV broadcast in the game against Alabama, and I tried to, in the press box this past week, Jay, watch the wide receivers and just see what was going on back there. And were there times Linares missed a couple of wide open guys? Yeah, either he didn't get through the progression or he just missed it and went to somebody else because he didn't see the open receiver. But those receivers were at times having trouble getting open on their own, like just beating their dude. And that's when you need to scheme and help if you're the offensive coordinator. And we talked about this last week. Run a lot of crossers against man coverage to run DBs up against each other like the Three Stooges. Get these routes where you got guys picking. You got pick plays. You got bunch formations to run guys out of. Against zones, you flood zones. This is just route combination 101, right? But when you're watching it, like from the press box, you're just seeing, it seems like when a lot of plays, okay, wide receiver, beat the DB. There's not like a lot of combinations that make sense, even in the short, intermediate, and deep. How many times did you see on Saturdays a bunch of guys running deep routes? Yeah. And there's nothing underneath to help out Linares, or nothing underneath to help out the receivers. So, I mean, I think it's a combination of everything. That's what's happened in this passing game. And, you go coordinator, you go receivers, you go quarterback, offensive line. Everybody's got a hand in this. But again, you go back to the number one thing, offensive line protect, and number 2, help the receivers get open if they can't get open on their own. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, so again, I just think, look, unfortunately, it's a host of things that I just think all come together. And this time around, instead of having fun with it and talking about a Deuce Staley pot of gumbo, it's a bad batch of gumbo, right? Like
and you're in the bathroom,
those shrimp weren't good, and that okra sat out too long, and all of a sudden here
bad things are happening. Bad things are happening.
I don't know what kind of roux you had there. Didn't work out right when you were trying to get that thing going. So, but there is talent. And there is promise, but I just I agree with Shane that these guys have shown the flashes, but that's like a lot of things with this football team, flashes, but not the consistency.
Yeah, I mean, I love what Jaden Sellers has done the last couple of weeks. You love the flashes
really
of Brian Rowe.
Too.
Yeah, I mean, he's doing something. He's getting open, and I like Brian Rowe. And again, Donovan Murph has a ton of talent. He should be in high school right now, and we know the physical ability of Nick Harbor. And it's a huge shake your head on what's happened to Mazeo Bennett. I mean, there's so much talent here that it does make you just kind of do the little shruggy guy into why the passing game just hasn't gotten off the ground. But all that stuff we just talked about, all has had a hand in this thing. But there is talent.
Well, I love me some shruggy guy, man.
I know you do. That's why I threw it in there for you. You're welcome.
Appreciate you. All right, what's next? Jay or nay, right?
Oh, we're going Jay or nay. Uh-huh.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
We'll be back.
All right, we'll get to some Jay or nay in a minute. First of all, we'll reset our start bench drop with our start bench drop expert, Jay Phillips.
Well, expert's a little strong, but
I'm trying to pump you up, man. Just trying to pump you up.
I appreciate that. Diego Pavia, Marcel Reed, Ty Simpson, start bench drop these SEC Heisman candidates. Again, we're not here to say that these are the leading Heisman candidates nationally. There are definitely others from other conferences, but since we primarily cover the Southeastern Conference, today we're doing that. So, maybe this guy would be in the mix. If you were going to be able to get one to New York, who would it be? Pavia, Reed, Simpson. And we give them to you in alphabetical order.
Mm-hmm.
I got one funny one for now. We'll get to some more on that I've got on Twitter. Not our regular guy, John, but obviously there's a lot of guys named John. Let me get to this. I actually think we have a few now. But John says, start Ty Simpson. And I know this John.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Gamecock fan. He's a real big Gamecock fan. So take that in mind, please. Start Ty Simpson, sit Marcel Reed, drop Diego Pavia, and then he said, sack Lenora Sellers again and again. Ouch.
Ouch.
Ouch. He's an angry. Like an elf. He's an angry Gamecock.
Well, it's funny. Watching the broadcast on Saturday, they were saying, Lenora Sellers going to the game had been sacked 25 times. They said if Lenora Sellers didn't have incredible escapability and was so hard to bring down and could evade pass rushers, they were like, he could have been sacked 50 times this year. This offensive line is so bad. I mean, the offensive line didn't get a lot of love during that broadcast, just saying.
Well, I mean, you got to earn it, right?
I know. Again, it wasn't unfair, but they were saying Lenore's could have been sacked 50 times this year if he wasn't such a mobile, get-out-of-trouble kind of quarterback.
Andrew hits us on Twitter for the other subject we talked about earlier this hour, a tradition unlike any other. So you can hear the piano and Jim Nance. A tradition unlike any other, Maryland football bitching and having beef about South Carolina football.
We've heard a few of those over the last so many years.
If you missed that story before we do Jay or Nay, Nick Loxley, head coach of the Terps, was on a big D.C. radio station today, and in so many words seemed to imply / accuse, but say that there was a big recruit named Zion Ely, a big 5-star defensive end from Baltimore, who came down to Carolina and got paid $5,000 or $10,000 just to come visit. And I'm like, A, can you mention names specifically? And B, you proven something like that? Like that just, so anyway.
You know what I was thinking about this real quick before we move on, Jay or Nay. If I was back in Baltimore doing this for a living like I did for years, my take today would be, well, Mike, find a way to pay him more.
Yeah, right.
Pay him more, Mike. Come on, man. That's the world we live in. Right. Shut your face and pay him more.
It's like Clark Griswold, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm asking how much it costs, and I'm asking how much you got.
That's right. You ready, man?
I am.
Let's do this thing. All right. Baltimore Ravens, Miami Dolphins. Thursday night football tomorrow night. Ravens are 2-5, coming off a win against the Bears. Lamar Jackson is back, and ESPN's analytics say the Ravens are favored to win every game they play the rest of the year, which would obviously probably give them a division title. The AFC North doesn't look very good. Steelers have lost 2 in a row. The Bengals are the Bungles, and the Browns, well, they probably couldn't win the Big Ten. Will the Baltimore Ravens win the AFC North despite a 2-5 record?
Wow. I mean, Lamar is such a difference maker. Hey, how healthy is he tomorrow to start things off? That's the thing. I mean, did the extra week of rest prove valuable? We'll find out. Oh, dang, Terry. They're not going to win every game they have left.
No.
But 10-7 might win that division.
Yep.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Nay, I'm still going to give it for now. I'm still going to give it to Pittsburgh.
All right. Ed Orgeron wants to be the head coach again at LSU. Jay or nay?
Nay, just nay. Just. Of course he does. Of course he does.
Of course. He's got co-eds to hit on.
well, or no, administrator wives.
That's
man,
right.
At the gas station.
Right.
True story. He was hitting on someone. He was hitting on like an administrator's wife. At the gas station somewhere near campus. I'm like, bro.
Come on, man.
I mean, yeah, what are you doing?
There's a lot of women to hit on there, Ed.
I love Coach O is great.
He's fun
for a lot of things, but no.
All right, I don't have time to play the cup, but you heard Lane Kiffin basically scorch Brent Venables' take that Oklahoma was better than Ole Miss, despite the fact Ole Miss won in Norman.
Reminded me of that Bo Pelini story I have. Yes.
Lane Kiffin right in his comments about Brent Venables, Jay or nay?
I mean, look, right and wrong can be subjective. Do I get where Lane was coming from, Jay? I mean, you just went into their house and you won. And dare I say, you it was an 8-point win, but you won, man. I mean, Ole Miss was So yeah, sure, Jay. Ole Miss was the better team. They were the better team. I think Brent's wrong. All
right, 5 o'clock news, sponsored by our Buds Integrated Media, coming up next here on the post-game show with Jay and Terry. Dr. Dan and the folks at the Men's Clinic of South Carolina, they want you, if you're a guy, to know you have a place to go if you're going through some things as you get older that you've never experienced before. Like not remembering where you put stuff or remembering important things without writing them down, or you're not sleeping like you used to. That trip to the gym, you're not lifting as well. You're not recovering from exercise like you used to. You have a lack of drive. Boardroom, bedroom, living room, kitchen, front yard, wherever in life, you just don't feel like yourself anymore. Call 803-875-MENS. Set the appointment, go in, tell Dr. Dan and the staff your story. It might just be low testosterone, and if it is low T, or they think it'll be low T, they'll do some lab work. If it comes back low testosterone, what they will do is then put you on a program specifically designed for you, to help you get back to feeling like you again. It might just be low T. Call 803-875-MENS. Find out from the Men's Clinic. All right, we have an accident reported I-77 southbound at I-26, exit 1. Two-Notch Road at North Grampian Hills Road as well. Two-Notch at Sparkleberry also. US 176 Broad River Road near I-20, and stop-and-go traffic at Sunset Boulevard westbound between I-20 and Mineral Springs Road. Carolina calls tomorrow night with Shane and Todd at 7, and Thursday Night Football, Ravens and Dolphins at 8. Then our high school football scoreboard show, a special time Friday night, 8 p.m. to 11 p.m. here on the game. Come back, our 5 o'clock news from our buds from Integrated Media. That is next on the post-game show. Jay Phillips, Terry Ford, thanks for hanging out with us here on the game. Time to get the 5 o'clock news cooking, sponsored by our pals Integrated Media here on the post-game show on the game. Let's bring in our correspondent in the field at our News Nerve Center.
That's right.
In his bedroom.
Right. Nope, not quite. I promise. I promise.
What room are you lounging in, by the way?
We call this our game room. We call this room our game room. Some people come over here and go, "Is this your man cave?" And I'm like, well, when you see a Taylor Swift concert poster and Disney World stuff, yes, you see a James Bond poster. Yes, you see Austin Powers. Yes, you see beer signs. Yes, you see a lot of things that I've gotten through the years, including my one of my prized possessions, my George Rogers autograph from his Heisman season, or a Bart Starr autograph. So, but it's not just a man cave. It is a family game room, but we have fun in here. That's where I am, though.
Hey, when I think macho, testosterone, bleeding man cave, I think Taylor Swift and Disney.
Yeah, and Disney World. Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Who doesn't? Who doesn't?
What do you got on the news?
I will say, my newest addition to this room, though. I say our newest addition was at Soda City I know we're supposed to do the news. This is news. We were at Soda City.
Are you breaking news right now? Are you breaking news?
Well, there's a guy. I wish I could remember his name. He's great. He goes around, Terry, and he finds not just old albums, but like old great albums. And I'm talking LPs in their like original, like bought, back in the day. He had an original Boston from 1976.
Are you serious?
I went to you always talk about going to Joanne. I went to Michael's and got for an album frame and immediately put that sucker up. I was like, yes, and then some. It is spectacular. It is in great shape. It is spectacular.
I'm gonna tell you what. I won't lie to you. It's one of my favorite albums growing up. Was that first Boston album?
It's great.
And you never heard guitar like that, man. It was so cool.
No,
so
and
cool.
It's all Tom. He does the whole. He does the whole thing. But it's like an original press, and it looks. I'm like, dude, yes, give me that.
I am so jealous of you right now. That is so cool. Very nice.
That's the room. That's the room I'm in.
So I know what next time I come to your house, I know where to go to steal the Boston album off the wall. Yes,
sure. But y'all go see. There's two guys down at Soda City now that are selling vintage albums, and they both have they both do a great job. And
awesome.
I think I'll never play it. He was like, I've cleaned it up. It'll sound great. I'm like, bro, don't worry about it. I believe you. I believe you. I'll never play it. It is in a frame. The artwork is amazing. I love that album. So that's my newest edition.
Very nice.
Anyway, Terry, I will call for this in a second, so I'll let you go ahead and set it up. Cut 4, please, on today's list that we have from Tyler and Shane Beamer. But the Gamecocks going to Ole Miss on Saturday night, 7 o'clock kickoff at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium. Carolina remains a 12.5-point underdog to the Rebels. The ESPN computers give Carolina a 19% chance to win the game. And by the way, we'll have some sound from Coach Shula coming up in a bit as part of the Gamecock Notebook. But in the meantime, here's Shane on as Coach Shula tries to figure a few new things out, add some wrinkles, whatever terms you want to say. Shane asked yesterday about the pros and cons of going tempo with his guys?
Yeah, I think anytime you can mix up tempos, like the teams that they go fast all the time, that's great, but you at least know they're going fast all the time. The teams that mix up tempo where it's not always fast, but they may hit a big play or they may hit a first down and then they go fast, but you're kind of off balance, those are the ones that present challenges. And Ole Miss is doing a great job of that. If you guys watched the TV copy, or if you watched their game last week against Oklahoma, they did that some. Where, I mean, they slowed it down at times and then they were in the huddle for different reasons, but then they broke the huddle and then they went and played. Being able to mix up tempos, I think, is good, and it's good for us from an offensive standpoint. And we always have. I mean, we've mixed up tempo and gone fast at times, but I think sometimes it's a good way to kickstart something if you're a little bit sluggish, and being able to just get on the ball and go. There's pluses to it. The tempo, you force things on defense. There's minuses to it. You're not able to make a whole lot of calls at the line of scrimmage. So if teams are bringing a lot of pressures and different looks, you're kind of rolling the dice a little bit because you're not able to communicate as thoroughly maybe as you would if you were slowing it down. Not to mention, that's great to be able to say, okay, we're going to go fast, but then you go fast and you go 3 and out, then your defense is getting back on the field fast as well, which you don't want to do. So there's different aspects up to it. We wanted to mix it in there last week, and that's something that's always been of a part of our offense that we'll continue to utilize if it's the right plan of attack each week.
I just wonder, Terry, if South Carolina, because, again, you and I and thousands of others have talked a lot about what South Carolina can and dare we say must do differently in order to score more points. I mean, even the other day when you looked different, you still only managed 22 points, which typically is not enough. Again, ironically, the other day it was almost nearly enough until it wasn't. But anyway, do we see more of that this weekend? Or is taking that kind of wrinkle on the road for this particular group of offensive players, maybe too much of an ask? I'll be interested to see what that looks like Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, look, when we talk about toughest venues and loudest venues to play in the SEC, no one's ever talking about Oxford, Mississippi. Remember,
No.
Lane's begging people for a sellout this Saturday. So maybe you can go up and do some of that stuff because it's not what you call like Death Valley or, the Swamp or any of the other tougher places to play, or you're hearing cowbells in your ears for 4 quarters. So maybe you can because you're not worried about crazy crowd noise. But I like the tempo every now and then, Jay, to change things up. I do, especially, I think, in certain situations where the other team can't substitute. Because, again, if you run tempo and don't substitute, they can't substitute. So you can keep maybe some packages on the field defensively that plays to your advantage on offense, if that makes any sense.
No, it absolutely does. And again, I think it's conceptually it's fantastic. It's more the execution part of things that I think is what Carolina could struggle with, and that's and listen, I thought the Mississippi defense the other day against Oklahoma was fantastic. I thought for a large stretch of the game, Mississippi played good defense against Georgia. I don't think they're getting enough credit because Lane is not a defensive-minded guy. I don't think his dad was, but Lane. Let's face it, for everything that his dad Monty was when it came to defense in the sport of football in the United States, Lane is an offensive guy. So maybe they don't get enough credit for the kind of defense they play.
And I think that everyone's comparing this defense to last year's defense. Last year's defense was arguably the best defense in America. And they have a bunch of dudes that play on Sundays now off of that defense. And is this defense as good as that one? No, it's not. It's not creating havoc plays like that defense did last year. But I'm with you. I think in fits and spurts, that defense has held itself up well. Now, has it had moments where it's given up stuff? Yeah. But look, when they needed to get stops last week in the fourth quarter against Oklahoma, what'd they get, Jay? They got stops.
Yeah, they got them, and they did that on the road where they didn't do it on the road against Georgia. And Lane said that his guys were really hacked off about that because Georgia ultimately just clamped down on them in the fourth quarter. So we'll see. We'll have more, again, Gamecock Notebook, the coordinator speaking earlier today, and Terry will have some of that for us coming up in just a little bit. Staying with college football and our integrated media headlines of the day, it was announced today by the College Football Playoff that the national championship game for the 28 season will be played in Tampa, the home of the Bucs, Raymond James Stadium. Many of you have been there many times if you're a Gamecock fan. and that game will be played January 22nd of 2029. Again, the 28 season. Tampa becomes the 4th city to host a CFP title game for the second time. Atlanta, New Orleans, and Miami are the other 3. It'll be the 15th championship game of the CFP era. The difference for me, Terry, or the question for me, Terry, excuse me, is, and I suppose the answer already is no, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Will we see, because I think we're going to have 16 schools by then, may have 16 as early as the 26th season. We'll find out here, I think, in the coming weeks. They have to make a decision by December 1st, so we will literally find out in the coming weeks if you want to look at it that way. But do we see a reformatting of the collegiate schedule? In other words, do we see things back up a little bit into August, start the season earlier? Everybody still maybe has a couple of bye weeks because you have a 12-game season and the kids need their rest. Yes, they still go to school, but then, have maybe a Thanksgiving weekend where we do start the championship games, and then you have something similar to what every other division of the NCAA has, and that's playoffs throughout the month of December, where right now that is not happening at the major college level. I think last year we had a marquee matchup, Notre Dame versus Ohio State, for a national championship, and the numbers weren't as good as they could have been, and the numbers weren't as good as they had been for other games that didn't involve 2 of the bluest of bloods of American college football. So I just wonder if stretching this into the 3rd and 4th week of January is really what's best for college football. I would think for now this game's going to be played where it is because, again, logistics matter. But at what point do they really have to start to think about, man, this thing's running too long? Do they need another year of a badly rated title game in a relative sense?
Look, I love an expanded playoff. I do. But I didn't love how that thing laid out last year. I know they were trying to maneuver around the NFL, and I get the whole thing, right? But it just felt like a long slog. Didn't it, Jay? By the time we got to the championship game, it's like, my God, this thing's still going on? Wow.
It was.
And
I remember, I think it was Awful Announcing had a piece about, football, college football fatigue, even for college football fans.
Yeah.
Dude, all right. I mean, I'm just, I can't focus on all this stuff at once.
Right, and I just think that what you talked about, do you back this thing up and start it, a week or 2 earlier? Or do you then kick in like all these other, college football entities and starting playoffs coming at that end of November or whatever, early December? I think I feel like that's the way you need to go at some point, just for this thing to make sense and not make it feel like ready. Do you ever go like this? God, these NFL playoffs lasted so long. My God, enough. No, you don't.
I don't.
And so,
in fact, I'd say my favorite day of the year in the football calendar, at least the pro football calendar, is Championship Sunday. I can't wait. I love those. When you get those 2 games, that's the best. That's great.
I mean, the NFL playoffs, the divisional round is like a football feast. It's like it's like a Golden Corral buffet of football. Like you said, the championship games are phenomenal, and just. You want to get that feel of the college football playoff. I know, look, last year was the first year, and you're going to have to fix stuff. Nothing's perfect. But my suggestion, I'm with you, you got to figure out a way to make this thing tighter. You just really do. And part of that would be maybe move the schedule back a week or 2 and get started and then get to the playoff at a decent time instead of, you look up and, wow, it's mid-April. When's the championship game?
Yeah. But again, the 28 seasons championship game of 2029, excuse me, in Tampa. All right, baseball. The Jays took it to the Dodgers last night. Final score 6-2. The World Series is tied at 2 games apiece. We go to Game 3 tonight. Terry, is this a must-win game for the LA Dodgers? You could say it could be for either team, but since this is LA's last game at home, how close is it perhaps to must-win?
Isn't this weird? Because last night to me was a must-win for Toronto. Because you go down 3-1 and you lost that 18-inning game, and then you get beaten, in Game 4, it's a wrap. Now, to flip, you make a good point. You're the Dodgers. If you go down 3-2, now you got to go sweep in Toronto, which is not impossible, but very difficult. I would say,
be a big ask.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't go do or die, but it's in that bucket of it's in your best interest to go up 3-2 to Toronto, where you've only got to get a split, than think you're going to go into their house and win 2 in a row. So it's as close to a must win as you can have to pull Game 5 at home.
Not must win, but you better win.
Yeah, you better win, or you got a large mountain to climb. Not impossible, but they're shooting boulders down at you.
Yeah, it's a rematch of the Game 1 starters. Trey Savage goes for Toronto. Blake Snell will be on the hill for L.A. 8 o'clock tonight, Game 5. So somebody will head back to Canada with a chance to win the World Series on Friday night. That's our integrated media headlines of the day. The Gamecock Notebook on the other side. Hear from Mike Shula what he had to say about the offensive changes and what else we can expect when the Gamecocks see Mississippi. You're listening to the postgame show. Love telling you about AAA Heating and Air, and yes, I am a very happy customer of AAA. In fact, after a few days of running the furnace, I've told y'all, sometimes these things happen, right? After a few days of running the furnace, had a little hiccup this morning. Called AAA. They were out to the house just a couple of hours later. Wade, my man Wade, came by to get us up and running again. This is how good they are. You call them, they're here, they get it fixed, you feel comfortable. It really is that simple. Love Roy and Dana Finley and their crew. And again, shout out to my guy Wade, who was at the house today. But AAA really wants to make sure that your comfort is all that matters. Today, you can call them, schedule a seasonal maintenance appointment. Do it. Maybe I should have done that last week. Just saying. 803-677-1500. Schedule it today. They'll get somebody out real quick, give you the once-over, and make sure that you're going to stay nice and warm all season long. 803-677-1500. Schedule that today and tell them I sent you.
now Gamecock notebook time here on the post-game show. And I don't have the notebook in front of me, but Jay Phillips carries it everywhere he goes.
Yeah, it's a nice notebook. It's leather-bound. It looks old. It's one of those vintage kind. It's nice. It's nice.
Yeah, it's got that leather smell.
I've actually, yeah, well, I bought it when I was in school at the old Russell House bookstore.
So it's got other smells to it besides leather. Is that what you're saying now?
Yes, it smells like the basement of the nursing building when I took my psychology class.
Yeah, I bet. Well, whatever you say, my friend.
Hey, there again, if you know, you know.
That's right.
All right, that's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. All right, I'm going to leave it at that. Now, today's notebook will feature Mike Shula, and it'll feature David Cloninger and our own Elijah Campbell. It'll start with DC. Just asking Mike about some of the things that happened last week. Let's let you hear it.
Last week, was there more collaboration as a staff for the game plan as opposed to weeks before it?
No, it's been the same all year. We've been pretty consistent with kind of everything we've done all year with the game planning and just with the coaches and with the players.
What does it look like when you're going through and simplifying a playbook?
I don't know. What do you mean? I mean, I know what simplifying playbook is, but you talking about in the off season when we go through it in the off season? Yeah, we've pretty much done the same thing all year. We've had the same volume. We have a certain amount of plays per section. First and second down plays. We've had a certain amount of plays in that area. Third down plays. We have plays in that area. Red zone plays, and then other little situations that come up through the game. We have a certain amount of plays, and kind of it's been pretty consistent all year. Now, whether or not we call them all, no, but we practice them all.
Obviously, the result's the biggest thing with the game. But as far as overall flow and just how things seem to be going for the offense, were you relatively pleased with how things went from
it's hard to it's hard to say yes because we came up short. We had the ball in our hands with 2 minutes to go, and we came up short. There was some more positive things, and to have the lead because of some of those positive things. In the fourth quarter, it was, made it bittersweet, because you want to take it into the fourth quarter and finish a game and play like we know we're capable of playing. But guys are, as you guys have seen, we're playing we've played a lot of different players, a lot of young players, and you can see the comfort level with some of the guys that have all of a sudden that are on the field because of the snaps they've gotten. Maybe in the past few weeks or earlier in the year.
It seemed like Lenoris got out on the run a lot more, rolling out to his left, sometimes like sprinting to his right. What went into that this week, and how do you think it went?
Wait, which way? You said left and right there.
Yeah, I feel like there were a couple times he rolled out to his left, and then there were some times where he kind of, I don't know if it was a sprint option.
Oh, yeah, both ways, yeah. Yeah, no, so each week you try to, there's all, as you try to attack defenses, it's sometimes it's on the edge, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's different plays, but he's done a good job when he's gotten out of the pocket. He does a really good job of keeping his eyes down the field and while he's out of the pocket, and he's done, for the most part, he's done a good job making, we talk about making good decisions late in the down, whether or not it's on a scramble or if you're out of the pocket or whatever. If it's not there, down the field, find your outlets, know it, and at worst, as we know, use your legs, and he can make plays with his legs that way too.
Mike, you have a good performance one week, and maybe from the outside, folks are saying, man, you just got to do that again. How realistic is that as a coach, considering it might be a completely different defense to prepare for?
Yeah, no, all these are really good questions. I mean, yes, you have to look at I think the best way to answer that is you kind of have to circle back as you evaluate the game on how teams are seeing you, and if you can continue with whatever it is, the success that you have. Number one, if you can, obviously any coordinator would want to, but if not, have certain plays that are off that, that come off plays that have been successful, and there's a fine line in continuing to run the plays that you've run that have had success, and then all of a sudden you run it one more time, and that's one too many times, and you're like, you need to have something off it. So yeah, and then that's what's exciting about being a coach and game planning and preparing is the mental part of it of, giving your players the things that they do well, and also doing it in a way where maybe you're not as predictable, even though you want to continue that. Maybe make it look like something else and still run the same plays. And hopefully we can build on the success that we've had as far as moving the football. Now we got to get better and getting points on the board, finishing drives, and staying out of the negatives.
7 different players on Saturday caught passes from Lenore's. How much of an emphasis is it when you're kind of coming up with a game plan to try to get as many guys involved to kind of make a defense kind of have to account for everybody that's on the field?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I think that you have to be careful. I think you do a lot of that during the course of early in the week as far as trying to get players in position that you think they're going to be kind of the guy that's going to make the play, but you can't have your quarterback just like, hey, throw it to this guy. Throw it to that guy. Throw it to that because we want to spread it on the, hey, we're going to try to get the ball here. But because otherwise he kind of gets locked in on just that player as far as throwing the football. And meanwhile, you're forcing the ball and somebody else is open. So your quarterback's got to be very, flexible, and obviously make good decisions that whoever's in that area, that even though we thought all week it was going to be this guy, all of a sudden it could have been that guy. So he's got to be, take what he's learned in the practice field and move on. But it does help when, yes, if someone's looking at us and all of a sudden like there's a hit chart and they're saying, oh, they're only throwing the ball to this guy. We need to have variety.
So there you go. There's Mike Shula answering some questions, kinda, sorta.
Well, a couple of them, and I get it. I'm not here to pick on Mike. Listen, Mike's a great dude. But I know, look, the criticisms, I think, in most ways are certainly justified. But I felt like he was a little, I don't want to say defensive, but just hey, But I get it. I think maybe you've come under some fire, and part of the job that we have in our business is, again, we're the conduit to the fans.
Mm-hmm, sure.
Those are a lot of the questions that you guys want asked. It's nice to have a cameo appearance by our own Elijah Campbell in that sounder right there. But no, and that last question was a good one. I'm glad Elijah asked that, because that's one of the things that you and a lot of us have talked about, Terry. You got a lot of dudes that have a lot of promise. There's only one football, and only one at a time can go catch it, and you're running the ball half the time, give or take. So, yeah, it's not. I don't envy Mike Furry and Mike Shula for the way they have to try to figure out who's going to be in that rotation. And again, the grand irony in all of that is that the guy that you feel like you could be featuring the most had only one catch. Again, a big play for a score. But, what do you got to do to get Nick Harbor more directly involved in that pass game and have him catch 5 or 6 or 7 passes a night? I mean, in fact, I don't have it in front of me. I'll do some homework tonight for tomorrow's show, and we can talk more about this, Terry. How many games has a Carolina receiver had more than a half dozen catches? I'm sure there's a few, but probably not too many, huh?
Not that many, man. I mean, remember Jacobs had a big game early in the year, but we haven't seen a lot of it, to be quite honest. Well, I thought it was an interesting answer too, Jay. Remember, Shane said that they did a little streamlining, not major, but they did a little streamlining, pulling out some plays and just staying with the stuff that works and things of that nature. Mike Shula just went, nah, we really haven't done anything in season. I thought it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, I'm just one of those is less accurate, and but y'all make up your own mind. That's part of what we do here, right? You listen, you decide.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right?
Can I throw something at you real quick before we go to break? Targets this year, Nick Harbor has 31 total targets. Dre Jacobs has 29 total targets. And then Brady Hunt has 20. And that's in 8 games. So no one's averaging 4 targets a game. Just saying.
Wow, man. That's – wow.
Yeah, Pro Football Focus. Just looked it up.
Yeah, I'm glad you see it. You have the access to that. Why don't you share your password with us?
I will, man. I'll get it out to everybody. Just everybody help me pay the $9.99.
No, you won't. All right. That's our Gamecock Notebook for this Wednesday. We'll take a drive around the SEC after this. Wondering why? You don't wait for it to change. You don't wait for it to go away. You don't ignore it. Instead, go set up a time to see Dr. Dan Balknight and his team at the Men's Clinic. They've been getting fantastic results for their patients for years. You get a one-on-one consultation, gets to the root of what's going on, and gets you back to feeling the way you used to, and more importantly these days, the way you want to. No such thing as a one-size-fits-all treatment at the Men's Clinic. No magic pills. No athlete celebrity endorsers telling you to do this and then give you a little wink. No, instead it's medical professionals, experts in healthcare for men, dedicated to making you feel like yourself again. So again, don't be that guy that ignores it or just puts it off. Do it for yourself. Do it for your family. Get to feeling better when you see Dan in the Men's Clinic. 803-875-MENS and learn more at themensclinicsc.com. That's the
All right, checking the traffic. There's an accident, I-26 westbound after Sunset Boulevard, exit 110. A vehicle on fire, I-77 southbound at I-26, exit 1. Another accident, Fort Jackson Boulevard near Divine Street. Also, River Drive near Sunset. Two Notch at North Grampian Hills Road as well. We'll come back and drive around the SEC, including the latest in the LSU coaching saga. That is coming up next here on the postgame show with Jay and Terry here on the game. Post-game show, Terry Ford, Jay Phillips, as we are hanging here, getting ready to do the drive around the SEC. A very interesting story, sir. Just hit the old, hit the internet world.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I'm looking at our buddy Matt Moscona's Twitter feed, and I'm looking at the people that have left him some comments. That's why I'm laughing. But you know what? I'll set this up. So Jeff Landry is the Republican governor of Louisiana, and he basically. Do you have the cut?
I got the cut. You ready?
All right. Let's just. You know what? Let's play the cut, and then we'll get into it. Do it.
To foot the bill. So yeah, absolutely. Who's that? No, I can tell you right now, Scott Woodward is not selecting the next coach. Hell, I'll let Donald Trump select it before I let him do it. I don't know, but the Board of Supervisors is going to come up with a committee, and they're going to go find us a coach. Hold on.
Here you go.
Okay, so just to be clear, that's the governor of the state of Louisiana.
And that's not anybody playing the governor. That's the real governor.
No, that's the governor. That's the governor. His name's Jeff Landry. Scott Woodward, if you're wondering, and some of you probably are, Scott Woodward is the very well-respected and former political employee in Louisiana. He is the athletics director at LSU. Before that, he was the athletics director at Texas A&M. So the governor has just unilaterally decided to strip the power of the athletics director in favor of the Board of Supervisors of the LSU system. The reason I was laughing, Terry, I got a couple here. A guy named Marcel hits our buddy Matt Moscona on Twitter. I can't help but think this is the biggest possible red flag for a coach looking at a program. Then another guy named Freddie hits Matt and says, this is a good idea. Wait for this, Ter. This is a good idea. They should appoint an executive-type committee that appoints a committee of former LSU players to filter candidates. So let's appoint a committee to appoint a committee. So we got one committee. We got a board appointing a committee to appoint a committee. Sure, that sounds really efficient.
I got a question.
Like this is what you deal with. I mean, God bless whatever man and whatever staff takes this job. Here's the good news. You will all be handsomely paid. Mm-hmm. Here's the bad news. You gotta deal with that.
By the way,
and there is nowhere else, Terry Ford, in college football, nowhere else where you have to deal with that.
Hey, bud, I got a question. Did Mark Emmert send that tweet about the committees? Mark Emmert?
No. The guy could be a burner account. Don't know. The guy's name is Freddie. That's all I'm looking at.
Freddie Emmert.
The guy's name.
Yeah. To your point, you're right. I mean, look, Louisiana politics is crazy in itself, right? So add Louisiana politics to the LSU coaching search and the LSU football program, and the fact you have no president at LSU to buffer from the craziness of Louisiana government. And let's just use Lane Kiffin because he's everybody's, supermodel right now when it comes to coaching searches. If you're Lane Kiffin and you see that, do you want any part of that insanity?
No,
in any way, shape, or form?
If you have young children in the car, cover their ears. I'm going to give you a second. Hell's no. I mean, seriously, Terry. Again,
it's insane.
We have. I told you, and this is just from my own experience. Okay, I'm not going to name names. I'm fortunate that I have been able to either work. I've worked with many, but I have known more governors. My family has been connected to politics in this state a long time. Carolina and Clemson have had their issues. I can assure y'all. Now they might want to. They might care, right? But I also know that we have some governors in our state who haven't even really been big sports fans. But even if they were, they're not doing that. They're not coming close to that because it's not their job and they know it. And this is a state that loves football and has two big programs. in big conferences that do good things. Neither one of them are LSU. I don't discount that. And there's another rub, Terry, is that if you take all of the passion of Carolina football and Clemson football, or all of the passion of Auburn football and Alabama football, and then combine it into one entity, and then stir in a little lagniappe for the folks in Louisiana, that's what you get, right? But you don't get governors that are. This governor's he's going to pick he's basically going to pick the coach.
Yes,
because he's just going to tell. Because here's the thing, he's appointed like half this board already.
Right.
And from what I understand,
he's going to appoint like three more, right?
Yeah, there's some of their terms run out at the end of the year, and he appoints the next ones. So he'll just tell the ones on the way out, you better do what I tell you. It's not going to matter for you anyway. But if you don't do what I tell you, don't think you're going to be able to use what you just did to your advantage when you're done. So it's what a mess.
I'll say this:
what a mess.
This is almost making those wackadoodles in College Station look sane. It really does.
Yeah. Oh, again, I can't. I mean, seriously, somebody tell me. I follow this sport closely. I love this sport. I don't ever recall for like schools in capital cities. I don't recall even like during the tattoo situation with Ohio State, the governor of Ohio, like getting directly involved with anything, right? Or any kind. I mean, Ohio State doesn't necessarily have this kind of mess to begin with because they know what the hell they're doing most of the time. I'm just trying to. And you don't have to be in a capital city. I mean, Norman's not that far from Oklahoma City. I mean, it's basically like Camden to Columbia. But I don't ever recall governors of Oklahoma meddling in Oklahoma's business. Austin is maybe the most prominent capital city other than Baton Rouge to host a big-time program. And we talk about politics there and Mac Brown having to handle that. But I don't recall governors of Texas going public and just throwing the AD under the bus in front of God and everybody and saying, I'd rather let the president of the United States pick it. I mean, what are we doing here? I couldn't care less how you feel about one side of the political spectrum or the other, or anywhere in between. But what are we doing?
Yeah, this isn't about politics. This is about a governor that's gone crazy with power.
This is lunacy.
Yeah,
this is lunacy. So anyway,
wow. I gotta be honest with you, really quick. Then we'll move on. When there's a thing. Anybody that's on social media will see this, and I get these sent to me, and you do too. The fake press conference, like with Jerry Jones or a player, and someone's doing the AI with the voice, and they make it like really funny because what they're saying is so ridiculous. That's what I thought that was when I first heard it. I thought it was one of those.
Sadly, it appears that is not the case. But good luck, LSU fans. We're here for you if you need us. Texas is now up to a 2.5-point favorite over Vandy. Speaking of games in Austin, we talked about this one yesterday, Tare. I still expect Texas. Actually, I guess Jalen and I did. You had already had to leave. I nothing against Vandy. I'm kind of honestly pulling for Vandy in this game, if that's a fair thing to say. But I expect Texas to win that game.
Well, the game's in Austin, and Texas has underwhelmed us this year to the point we forget they've only lost 2 games.
They're still in it, man.
Yeah, and that's my point. They're still in it. They're not out of it yet, but we feel like they are because, A, they have those 2 L's, and B, Arch Manning has been so bad, or I shouldn't say bad. He has not lived up to his potential, and now he's in concussion protocol. But Texas is still in this.
He's not going to play.
Yeah, if Texas
they
wins
are,
out,
and I think they'll beat Vandy. The thing is, after Vandy, they got to go to Athens, and I don't.
And that's when it ends. All right, let's look at Vandy for a minute. If they have Texas, Auburn, Kentucky, and then they go to Tennessee. Okay, so they should beat Auburn at home. They should beat Kentucky at home. If they lose to Texas, that Tennessee game is huge, obviously, for Vandy. You can't take the 3rd loss. And Tennessee, by the way, how big this game could be. Tennessee has Oklahoma in Knoxville.
Yep.
New Mexico State, always scary. Then they go to Florida. Now, Tennessee's got 2 losses. Let's say Tennessee at home beats Oklahoma. That Tennessee-Vandy game might be almost a play-in game for the college football playoff, just saying.
Could be. Wouldn't that be something? And Florida often has Tennessee's number, and this, that game in Gainesville? Is that right?
Yes.
I gotta hit-
I mean
okay.
in Knoxville.
Yeah. Oh, it's in Knoxville. Okay.
I'll
All right.
double
That's the
check.
drive around the SEC. Got to hit a break. We'll do Jay versus the internet on the other side.
Post-game show final segment. We'll get to some Jay or Nay in just a second. But first, we got to wrap up our start bench drop. All right, Jay Phillips, where you at?
All right, so our start bench drop today was start bench drop these SEC Heisman candidates. Alphabetical order: Diego Pavia, Marcel Reed, Ty Simpson. This was tough for me. And again, we thought about Trinidad Chambliss, but we had to exclude one of them. So Trinidad didn't make the cut because he did not start the first 2 games. That's what we used to draw a line. But I got a hunch that Trinidad is actually in the real hunt later next month. Anyway, Terry, I'm going to start Ty Simpson. I think he's been tremendous. I think he's been just fantastic on a team that doesn't really run the ball well, but he really masters that offense. I'm just really impressed with Ty Simpson and what he's done for Alabama. I'm going to bench Diego Pavia because I think, as we were talking about earlier in the show, it's not just his play, it is his leadership, his spirit. They've made a huge difference for Vanderbilt, and I love Marcel Reed, and I think that kid's going to be a star. I think Marcel Reed might have the most upside for the next level, but since we're talking now, I love what he's doing, but I got to drop somebody, so I'm dropping Reed. So I'll start Simpson, bench Pavia, and very reluctantly, I assure you, drop Marcel Reed.
Yeah, I'll take either 3 of them. That's the thing. You're right. I'm going to start Pavia for the reasons you said. I think it's bigger, and his stats are really good. I just think it's bigger. I think here's a guy that came in and changed a football program and changed a culture. And I think that just lifts this to another level for Pavia. So I will start Pavia. I'm going to bench Ty Simpson, and here's why. A&M has a better running game and a better offensive line than Alabama. Simpson is being asked to do more than Marcel Reed. So I'm going to bench Simpson, and I love Marcel Reed, too. I'm like you. I watched him just – LSU is like there's ankles broken all over Baton Rouge trying to chase Marcel Reed. But I think Reed, first of all, their offensive line's really good. They've got some weapons on offense. And Reed obviously is the driver of that. But because they have so much around him more than Simpson does, I will drop Reed reluctantly. So start Pavia, bench Simpson, drop Reed.
Yeah, there you go. All right, good stuff. Appreciate everybody chiming in. All right, what do we got? We have music.
All right.
Oh, good.
You told me you went 3-0. I don't believe you, but you went 3-0 yesterday.
I think I did. I think so. It was. I took Kennesaw State to cover. They covered. I took James Madison to cover. That was easy. They won by 32. And I'm pretty sure I told you, make sure. I mean, seriously, go back in the skimmer. I don't want to be wrong, but I think that Jalen asked me over/under in the JMU Texas State game, and I took the over. Which was like 50-something, and it was 72. So I don't think I'm lying as far as you know.
As far as I know. All right, here we go. More fun in Conference USA. Jacksonville State at Middle Tennessee State. Jacksonville State minus 3.5.
Oh, golly.
Jacksonville State undefeated in the league. Middle Tennessee State winless.
Is defeated in the league.
Yes.
But I still want the fighting Elijah Campbells to do something at some point, but I don't think it happens tonight. So give me the other Gamecocks.
All right, over-under is 54.5, sir. Where are you going?
Jeez. Under.
Because Tennessee State stinks? Middle Tennessee State stinks?
I don't know. That's a lot of points.
All right, so Jacksonville State over Middle Tennessee and going to the under. All right, Florida International on the road to Missouri State. Missouri State 3.5-point favorites. Missouri State 2-1 in Conference USA. Florida International 1-2 in the league.
That's a long trip from South Florida to the middle of nowhere, Missouri.
And by the way, they Ubered. Just letting you know that.
That's nice. You got a big bus too.
Big bus, big Uber bus.
Give me Missouri. What is Missouri State? Are they the Bears?
They're the Bears. The Bears, I believe.
Give me them.
All right, so you're going to go Jacksonville State, giving 3.5 to Middle Tennessee, going with the under on the 54.5 total, and then taking the Fighting Bears of Missouri State over Florida International because they're Ubering.
Hold on. Can I give just 1 second to see if I want to maybe change to the under?
You see, unlike you with the wild card showdown, you're locked.
Jacksonville State scores a lot of points.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? New Mexico State does, or Middle Tennessee doesn't score many.
Yeah, they don't.
I'll stick with the under. I'll stick with the under. That was where my gut was.
Hey, watch Jacksonville State win like 60-0 and hit the over.
Well, I just looked in their last 2 games. They've scored 25, 45, and 34. I'm good. I'm good.
Thanks to Hale, Jay. Fine work, my friend. We'll do it again tomorrow at 3 here on the post-game show. Enjoy your evening.
Later.